Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 32 days away from its official release by Disney and Lucasfilm. That is all set and ready to end the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself, while also adding in many different revelations that will lead to saga-wide implications in this story. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 that a lot of fans are very excited about is, of course, the new Force powers that will come into play in this movie, as well as Palpatine, Rey, and Kylo Ren having many different interactions between each other in this film that's really going to speak volumes by Disney and Lucasfilm and what they're really trying to achieve with The Rise of Skywalker. In case you guys are just tuning in right now, it's actually been said before in the past that J.J. Abrams plans to make The Rise of Skywalker by far the darkest Star Wars film there is out of the entire saga that started back in 1977. I don't know about you guys, but to me, I feel that's impossible to top Revenge of the Sith, because we got, the end of the Jedi, Order 66, Padme's death, Anakin Skywalker getting burned on Mustafar, all those different things. I feel that you just can't top that. But anyways, what's really intriguing has all to do with the third act of Episode 9, and what, of course, Disney and Lucasfilm has in store for Rey, Kylo, Palpatine, and even Luke Skywalker. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing about all of this is that shot descriptions consisting of a sequence where it's explained that Kylo Ren is said to approach Palpatine's base on the world of Exegol, where all 6 of the Knights of Ren are said to be guarding the entrance. It's described that now, in the third act of the film, the Knights of Ren are against Kylo Ren in the scene, and at this point in time, Kylo is no longer affiliated with the dark side and that he comes here as Ben Solo. It's described that a battle begins between Ben Solo with no lightsaber or any other weapon at all, but just the Force, and that Kylo Ren is described to fight the Knights of Ren to the death through using the Force, where eventually Rey is said to toss Ben Solo Leia's lightsaber while she is inside of Palpatine's throne room below the surface through their Force bond. It's explained that their Force bond allows Rey to transfer the object to Ben Solo from a different location, where after Kylo Ren defeats and kills the Knights of Ren after a constant struggle and getting beaten up, this is where the scene is said to progress to when Ben Solo sprints his way into the elevator that leads down to Palpatine's throne room, where eventually Sidious begins to laugh as Ben enters the room and says how he is disappointed, again, with the Skywalker bloodline always failing to stay consistent with the dark side of the Force. This is where Sidious begins to laugh and uses the Force conduit technique that allows him to drain the energy from both Ben Solo and Rey. After Palpatine uses this ability, he is said to shoot tons of red and blue Force lightning into the sky, destroying ships that belong to the First Order and the Resistance. This is when, of course, Rey is using Anakin Skywalker's lightsabers, and where both Ben and Rey ignite their sabers against Palpatine, where Kylo is said to use Leia's. At one point in time, they begin to actually block the Force lightning by the now rejuvenated Palpatine that makes him appear far younger in design and powerful, where Rey is said to get thrown back into a stone wall, where she throws Ben Solo Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, where now Ben is described to be holding 2 blue saber designs against Sidious. Ben Solo is described to be having a hard time against Palpatine and his red and blue Force lightning, where Ben begins to slowly slip backward closer to a pit that falls down thousands of feet into the surface of Exegol. Eventually, Palpatine is able to push Ben Solo with his Force lightning down the pit, where Ben is seen falling down into the shadows of the fall, similar to Han Solo's death in The Force Awakens. The scene is said to progress to where Sidious begins to drain more of Rey's energy, where she gains and where she's actually barely able to move, where this is where the Force ghosts of the past, such as Anakin, Luke, Leia, Kenobi, Yoda, and others, become a part of Rey's spirit, where Luke is described to be the last one to offer Rey energy from the netherworld of the Force, where he stands behind Rey as Palpatine is able to see Luke Skywalker's ghost in the distance. Luke is described to smirk at Palpatine providing the line of dialogue to Sidious that is said to frustrate him before vanishing and becoming a part of Rey's spirit, where Rey is said to grab Anakin and Leia's lightsabers and crossing them into a specific formation and blocking the lightning, to where she is able to revert the lightning back at Sidious, causing him to disintegrate into nothing, where Palpatine is now officially dead. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and as to why this also alludes to Disney and Lucasfilm's plan to make Rey the Chosen One, which I actually went over just yesterday, and as to why I disagree with that choice by Disney and Lucasfilm. I don't know about you guys, and I don't know if you agree with this, but my point of view, Rey is not the Chosen One and cannot be the Chosen One. In my point of view, I think that Anakin should really stay as the Chosen One because that's what George Lucas even said prior to the release of The Rise of Skywalker and even The Last Jedi, stating that Anakin is and always will only be the Chosen One. So for Disney and Lucasfilm to make this shift of Rey being the one to destroy the Sith once and for all, I'm not quite sure how I really feel about that and how fans will actually react to that once the film drops in theaters this December. And by the way, let me know what you guys think about Rey being the Chosen One in The Rise of Skywalker and the one to destroy Palpatine once and for all toward the end of the movie. Now, with that being said, what's really exciting about this particular moment is that we do have a segment in which Luke's Force Ghost is able to meet with Palpatine once more. Of course, he's not fighting Palpatine, and of course, there's no actual confrontation where, you know, it's to the point where it's a battle between the two, but this is Luke Skywalker simply appearing in back of Rey and providing a smirk to Palpatine before he vanishes and becomes a part of Rey's spirit temporarily, giving her the power from the netherworld to take on Sidious and destroying him once and for all. So, in the initial cut of the film, when they actually had Palpatine as a spirit taking over the body of the Dark Acolyte, there was going to be a battle between Luke's Force Ghost and Palpatine himself. That was initially, of course, you know, the big plan before it was changed to now where it's simply Luke's Force Ghost appearing in back of Rey, providing a smirk to Palpatine and pretty much, you know, showing him that his end is near. His demise is getting closer as the walls are getting thinner. So, with that being said, I want to go over another segment that really seems to be a very action-packed sequence where Kylo Ren himself is said to battle the Knights of Ren. Except there's a twist here. Kylo Ren is no longer Kylo. He now comes here as Ben Solo. Once again, this alludes to the redemption arc that begins at the very end of the second act of this movie from the leaks that we went over, where there is going to be a vision of Han Solo that offers guidance to Kylo Ren that it's not too late and that you can change your ways. And that's where Kylo Ren officially says, you know, I'm through with all of this, I'm giving it up, and now he's Ben Solo again. So he's actually said to have a hard time against the Knights of Ren without his lightsaber. This really does make one wonder, are the Knights of Ren force sensitive in this movie? Is there going to be a twist with the Knights? Because so far we can see that they only use primitive weapons, such as spears, axes, and swords and stuff like that, right? Shields, blaster rifles, but Kylo Ren is able to use the Force against them, yet still has a hard time fighting them. Hence why in that leaked photo that we saw a couple of weeks ago, where we see both Rey and Kylo Ren side by side with the ignited sabers, where Kylo Ren looks beat up, and that's because of the Knights of Ren. And there's going to be a segment in the film where Rey tosses Leia's lightsaber through a Force bond. So it's kind of like imagining if you live in one part of a state and the other person lives in another part of a state, and you toss somebody a lightsaber, it travels to them through space and time. That's exactly what is happening here, where Rey is below the surface of the planet and Kylo Ren is above, where Rey is literally able to toss the lightsaber that once belonged to Leia to Kylo Ren to destroy the Knights of Ren, taking them down one by one with his mother's lightsaber, which I honestly love that. I like how he's using his mother's lightsaber. That's going to connect, by the way, to the flashback between a young Luke and Leia, where Luke is training Leia through the ways of the Jedi and the Force before she gives up and admits that she is pregnant with Ben Solo. So, the other thing that I also want to tap into here, that I think a lot of fans are going to feel a little bit mixed about, is how Ben Solo is said to fall down a pit by Palpatine's Force lightning. Both, of course, ranging from blue to red colors, Sith lightning, if you will. Where the lightning is actually said to push Ben slowly as he's trying to stand his ground, digging his feet into the dirt before he falls down to that actual pit. And it's actually said to be a similar shot to when Han Solo falls down the deep chasm in Starkiller Base. So that's one thing to be aware of, is that his demise is not completely, clear as of right now, other than the fact that he falls down into that dark, shadowy pit. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.